Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, IndigoAngel. Guys, come on into this dimension and come on into this energy update, okay? This is going to be a very overdue energy update as so much has been going on and continues to go on. As you all know, we've had two alien sightings, one in Miami and then one also in Brazil. So I really wanted to touch on these two events that took place. Clearly, they've been making some social media major headlines, even the regular media headlines. And it's really been spicing up the full disclosure events and movements across the grids pretty much since we've moved into the year 2024. And so I want to get into this a little bit because I want to remind everybody about the tampering that goes on in the full disclosure movement. I also want to remind everybody about how often the Willy Wonka and whatever you want to call them, right? The elite, etc., how they utilize these types of things as archontic deception strategy and how they utilize it as propaganda, basically to cover up things that they're actually really doing, right? So I want to touch on this with you guys just to keep a clear mind, to keep a sharp mind about what goes on, how to stay in alignment to truth, and how to discern when things are ultimately, I feel on a greater scale of things, a deception strategy. Like it's a deception technology and technique that has massive repercussions of mind control programming that is activated in the collective when stuff like this happens. So let's get into it. Go ahead and put a big like on this video. Go ahead and comment on this video. Share this video out, you guys. And thank you so much for your love and support of my channel. Now, I want to get into, for those of you that don't know what full disclosure is, okay, so when I say that, we're referring to the highest level of extraterrestrial disclosure to human beings, to Earthlings, that reveal the most detailed scenarios of our hidden extraterrestrial human galactic history, which ultimately is very, very extensive. I have spoken about galactic history on this channel for the last 6 years, and I have covered it from the Anunnaki to the Dracos to the Reptilians to the Guardian Alliances to the Galactic Federation, and have brought forth as much clarity as I possibly can over the interdimensional framework in which those things do exist, in which those things do play out in terms of the manifestation fields and timelines within Earth and within humanity. So this is a history in which I could go into explaining more in depth and detail, which I would love to. If you guys want me to, drop it down in the comments. And also check out a lot of the past content that I have made, speaking about the galactic, extraterrestrial and celestial influence here on Earth. But unfortunately, throughout time and throughout history, this information also has been manipulated by the negatives and highly infiltrated. Okay, there's archontic deception strategy that's used to control even the higher consciousness community within the higher consciousness community. It's called plants, and it's called controlled opposition and controlled narrative, which is where a lot of these groups are very active in the occult communities, in the underground occult communities, very active in the higher consciousness, God sovereign freedom movements. There's a lot of fallen technology and a lot of fallen programming that essentially exists, okay? And fallen programming is a key point I want to touch on and make with all of this, is that we discount a lot of the things we see. We discount a lot of the sightings of extraterrestrials in ETs, and all of the accounts of things that come forward due to the fall of man programming that we carry, which is a deeper enslavement programming, which is tied to the mind control of the Willy Wonka. Okay, the fall of man programming is a massive psyop that was recorded through Atlantis, believe it or not. So as much as we tie a lot of our enslavement records to the Sumerian Egyptian invasion through biblical crucifixion, it's more so actually tied to Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis. That is kind of the inception point of the fall of man, which ultimately is a programming. It's a belief in which suppresses humanity, which, yeah, I want to get more into that topic essentially. But all of this is manipulated. So when we see sightings and when we see ETs breaking news and headlines in Miami and in Brazil, just know this is a trigger event that catastrophically and cataclysmically continues to roll out the efficiency of the programs within the collective, and also the agenda and the propaganda of the ones that are in control. So as you all may have heard, and I'm a little late to speak on this, it's not that I didn't want to, it's just that it was within my field of awareness, and I've been preparing for so many other things at this time that I wasn't able to touch on this or speak on this, but it just stayed in the back of my mind that I needed to. So here I am now, right, guys? But as you know, there were 10-foot aliens spotted in Miami and now in Brazil. And these have been equated as two different recent alien spottings or accounts. And I'm from Pensacola, you guys. So in Pensacola, ET spottings are very normal here. It's very active. Okay, so for them showing up in Miami and it being such a big deal, the way that they're blasting it out, you have to think about why that's being done in the first place, why it's being generated the way it is when ETs are spotted all the time along the coastal regions. Okay, because you have to understand coastal regions, especially Florida, and really any coastal region in the world, because it's such a grid point in which the portal structures are open to the interdimensional time-space fields. It's opened to the dark military, the dark aspects of the Navy that are in cahoots with underwater spacecraft and underwater portal passages from the interdimensional realms, such as Anunnaki gate systems, Orion gate systems, reptilian draconic Thuban gate systems. Okay, so coastal regions are highly extraterrestrial activated every single where in the world. It's not just, Miami and Brazil. But the point I'm trying to make with this is that what could have happened in terms of the grids is that it's just they're opening up an interdimensional portal highway from Miami to Brazil, essentially. And so encounters on the coastlines just mean that portal structures and negative ET, because I'm going to tell you guys this to me has negative ET involvement all over it. It's shrouded in controversy. It's shrouded in propaganda. It's shrouded in almost like a reoccurring stigmata of disclosure skepticism campaigns. Okay, and so those are all red flags to me that this is some form of a negative alien ET contact situation, and that they're using portal structures and interdimensional gateways to pop up in different places unexpectedly. Okay, but again, not to fear, because again, the coastal regions are highly activated with ET involvement, total happenings all the time. So I think this very well could be the same entity that's presenting itself in these locations, meaning that they would be the same beings from the same galactic lineage or race faction going from place to place. And that, again, they're just accessing the portal structures from Miami to Brazil or creating new portal structures and travel passageways. Now, we're not really getting satisfactory answers around what this is, if it's true, if it wasn't. I'm sure you're watching many other metaphysical channels that are probably speaking on their input and their intake on this, essentially. But I want to, again, kind of give a roundabout reasons of why they interfere with humanity, to what degree they may be showing themselves for the new year, and how we must come to understand the planetary negative alien invasion history on this earth to understand why these things happen in the first place, why they pop up. And honestly, how if we're sensing that it is a negative influence, which I personally do, is that, and I want to clarify that as well. I wouldn't always go to those extremes and measures just from every sort of encounter, but I feel like, again, it's what is being shrouded around the incidences that are painting it in a negative light that makes me believe that the elite or the cabal are interfering with the situation to a higher level of degree of a distraction and propaganda campaign. Okay, they like to really use the full disclosure movements for these things, you guys. I want to touch on it from a spiritual aspect as well. One of the reasons that I feel this is even happening in the first place and why this is allowed to run vampant and wild, just kind of bringing it back down to the basics globally as what we're up against on a spiritual level of warfare and a fight, is the destruction of the organic spiritual consciousness. Okay, point blank across the board. Okay, there are hundreds of thousands, if not the majority of the collective on this earth that is completely disconnected from organic spiritual consciousness. Okay, and that's just simply the connection to the creator, period. So that already distorts everything and propagates and runs up higher than the fall of man programming. But in additional to that, it's really a breakdown of the Holy Mother's presence and the female principle on this planet. Okay, and I've been talking about this. You guys may have just seen my video that I put out with Teen Hinan and the re-rise of matriarchy, which is totally happening, and unveiling and elusive and unseen right now on this earth. Some people can see it, not a lot of people can, but a lot of people know that this force is rising. But why we have the destruction shrouding through the chaos of all of the nonsense that's around this stuff, and looking straight through to the core of why it's even here in the first place, it goes back to the loss of the female principle on this planet. Okay, and this happened approximately 22,000 years ago. There were negative ETs here that were on a genocidal rampage, basically to eradicate the Magi Grail king lines. I go back to this because this is the reference point going back to Lemuria. Okay, going back to the destruction of the true Yana spirits and the true 12th dimensional souls that were here on this earth. And I do believe it actually started with negative RH, tracking of RH negative soul lines and attacking these soul lines. I think that's where it began ultimately through the reptilian invasion at that time, spreading disinformation, destroying the records of humanity's star origin and historical artifacts that would then back up the resources of humanity's galactic history. Okay, so when these ETs even pop up in the first place, there's all that's sitting there. People denying the true origins of humanity, which has been recorded for since aeons, going back to the serpent cults, going back to the Nag Hammadi, going back to ancient India, and going back to Mu, essentially, which was the birthplace of a lot of the female creation records, essentially, which is where those records were destroyed. But there were all of these campaigns to target and persecute all of these particular pure blood Grail lines. Essentially, you can call them Melchizedek, you could call them Essene Grail lines, you can call them, you know, whatever that is, essentially. But it really kind of, I think, happened with ultimately Ireland. I'm kind of going back to Ireland and the Albion body, the red-haired women and womankind of those beings that were present also in Lemuria. And then again, going back to the Ioni tribes, essentially. But all of this was about warfare over 11th dimensional and 12th dimensional gate systems. Okay, and so it's been about slavery. It's been about the galactic slave trade all the way to the Atlantean slave trade. Okay, there's no separation as historical enslavement, slavery timelines replay themselves throughout all time, throughout all echoes, throughout all dimensions, throughout all realms, throughout all worlds, all systems simultaneously existing now. So what I speak of now happened then, happened before then and before then, and will happen again if we don't become conscious of the life force that lives behind the resurrection of those timelines. Okay, and so all of this we have to recognize when we have ET contact, okay, just as simple as Miami and Brazil, to understand the overall netting of how our ET history has been extracted and our awareness around this to now it's like a global event, like, do aliens exist? Okay, you can see how this is all playing out. Essentially, it had a lot to do with religious indoctrination on this earth. And again, wiping out the female God principle on this earth as well. This is kind of what's underneath the misery programs of these propaganda campaigns, essentially. So this is a lot. I think, to process overall, but it's important to know that the reason why these ETs come here, it seriously goes back to the loss of the woman's influence on the planet. Okay, and it has to do with fertility, it has to do with sexuality, it has to do with procreation and bringing beings to this planet, getting them birthed into this planetary system, hijacking wombs or hybridization programs or forced breeder programs. Okay, it is to, why else would they come here? What do we have to offer on this planet? They've already mined all of our resources for gold. Okay, what's available to them is incarnation, bringing more of their species here, bringing for active territory on the Earth's playing field. Okay, so you have to look at it from this perspective of why they come. Why would they secretly be traveling, like not wanting to be seen, not wanting to be, it's skeptical, right? The whole world is questioning. Why would it be so inconspicuous if there wasn't a negative influence or agenda and they didn't want something here? Okay, so I'm going off the count that this is true, that this is active, that there was an alien in Miami going to Brazil. Okay, it's because they come here, especially with negative agenda, they come here through the enslavement programs. They come here for the genetic modification and breeding programs, the alien hybridization agendas. That's why they come. It's being instilled into the population. It's honestly organized because we have a very intricate, organized patriarchal religious system here that can indoctrinate alien hybridization because they're all working with reptilians and Dracos anyways. The Vatican's working with them. Okay, the Vatican's working with satanic forces plus negative ET forces. Okay, and so everything's already kind of set up through spiritual leadership here on this earth to be a negative alien isolation, divide and conquer, and breeding ground campaign. Okay, and so it's all highly infiltrated with unclean spirits, with black hole systems, wormhole systems, demonic possession, evil deeds, and it's happening through the disobedience of the creator. Okay, and it's dominated by a lot of this male brute and strength to ensure. Now, I'm not saying just men, okay, in general, watching and the male collective, but there is like a male predominant predatorial field collectively that ensures that all of this is basically, you know, stays in its powerful, it's anchored in its role and its power control structure. That's one of the reasons why they probably present themselves, is to remind us, for one, for those of us that can awaken to this level of consciousness, and the degradation over source, over God, over the divine feminine, over the forced breeding campaigns, over what these negative agendas have been released going back 500,000 years, but reactivated within the last 6 due to the Lemurian invasion. So yeah, they want to be here for our genetic modification programs, Galactic Federation programs as well. You have to watch out for those. Galactic Federation. Do you notice as soon as all these sightings come up, how much Galactic Federation channelings just expedited, saying they know who they were, they knew what their agendas were, they know why they're here. They like to take ownership for these things. They like to jump on the bandwagon. They like to create false illusions and disillusions and create more archontic deception within that. Okay, Galactic Federation programs are incepted, they are invaded, and they are programs that pump people into the MyLab programs, into the super soldier programs, into the negative dark military programs. They're kind of stepping stones for these things, and they're predominantly of the Anunnaki bloodline force. Okay, the negative aspect of it. Okay, propagating transhumanism and just all of the negative ET agenda is malevolent. Okay, and benevolent. And that's the problem with it, is that it's running so much polarity and negative static electricity within those inversion polarity fields. Okay, and so they contribute to the grand Earth experiment option of existence, which is us co-evolving consciously in the polarity integration of this universe, which is not of the law of one. It's a part of the reversal programs that actually take us into the death campaigns, into the death realities and death systems. They also come to this earth because of galactic wars. Okay, they come to this earth because of how they like to use the veil of secrecy to manipulate and influence our worldly human affairs. And that's what another thing that we see going on with this. This happens every year. This isn't a new thing. The alien sightings pop up all the time. And so it's a part of the social experiment. They also come here for advanced technologies. They come here to see what manipulation they can insert into the 3D paragram and hologram of reality. They love doing breaking down and revealing the fragments in the free power and free energy systems. Okay, and basically putting blockages in things that could end poverty and slavery and our access to good food and water, because they work on the behalf of the elite. Again, going back to that. So ultimately, humanity is enduring a hidden multidimensional battle for disclosure, which is gradually happening as the collective consciousness shifts into these higher dimensional planes. It's all a result of the ascension cycle, ultimately. But it's evident that there's massive amounts of hijacking in the disclosure movement. And it is to gain control over what's being shared with the public. And again, it is to, I think, again, be inserted due to the elite and to the agendas over, again, propaganda, and to control mass communication and media, and also to steer it in the direction of their agenda. Okay, they use it through controlled opposition. But it's really, I think right now they're trying to do specific things in terms of the collective. I think they're losing money is what's happening in certain things. I think this is about the negative monetary system. And so they're trying to launch distraction campaigns. This is just my personal take on it, to try to force a recession into the collective, to manipulate a recession and distract you from the warfare timelines. Okay, so right now we currently have active Galactica battles going on in the 11th dimensional gate, the 12th dimensional gate, and all the Orion Stargate systems. There is active spiritual warfare on this earth. It is a constant state of existence. Any denial to this should be relinquished, because it's time to start trusting in the reality in which you are being seen and shown. The fact that we have, active dissension cycles in the timelines, we have active bifurcation, active polarization, active reversal energies running into separated mini worlds, spheres, realms, dimensions, and timelines. And so when we have the gearing up of manipulation in the disclosure movement, it's pretty obvious that they're trying to force something in. And I do believe what it is, it's a forced recession. And I'm becoming more and more increasingly aware of this. You may be as well, but they're doing it through the elite, the cabal, the AI algorithm, big tech handlers. They're trying to push forth the agenda of a forced recession. And I do believe it's come down to the job market and the 3D. Okay, there's been a great disappearance of boots on the ground, and job market, right? The job market, they want that to boom again. Okay, so there's been a decline in labor force participation rate post La Cucaracha. And so Willy Wonka wants to basically exercise out and force out or push out small online businesses and push people back into the 3D world. Okay, so they're doing this by attacking the algorithms, attacking social media outlets, because most people have moved to social media types of dependent jobs for revenue. And so they're attacking all of these types of things to force people back into the physical boots on the ground job market. That's basically what I'm seeing is they're using propaganda to insert mind control programming to make you think that things are happening outside of your control, and basically you are essentially being attacked by the algorithms. You're also being attacked via Google and email campaigns as well. They're trying to siphon and stop your ability to resource out basically what's happening. So I really feel like it's just further ways to manipulate the collective into the agenda in which they want money to go and flow. I think it's ultimately about money and where they want resources and revenue to go. And so, yeah, why not throw another scare or propaganda tactic into the skeptic or extraterrestrial or higher consciousness community? Okay, why not throw a wrench of situational awareness to compromise and to throw red flags and to reinforce their propaganda? Okay, so I think they're trying to control narratives here, and I think we have to be very keen with our perception and dig deeper and question what's happened to our civilization throughout all time with our galactic history, and to understand that extraterrestrials are coming in and coming out of this time-space field constantly all the time. If things are getting blown up to a proportion like this, propaganda technique to disrupt the reality bubble and the personal comfort zones of individuals, and to shake them up and steer them into another direction. So I think, as the heart expands and we understand more love on this planet, and the unconditionalness of all creation, we come to understand the things and the fundamentals in which the pillars of societies function off of and within. And we obviously can activate more critical thinking and common sense and reason within what these Willy Wonka systems are actually doing to us, and overcome the modification and manipulation tactics on the mind. A lot of people recently I've been seeing, they carry, a lot of alien technology torture devices. I've been seeing helmets on the crown chakra, helmets, just total alien helmets that have multiple functioning technological devices within them, that plugs into the brainwave fields that have extensions from onward to 100 to 500 to 1,000 open plugging systems into the brain. So they're using torture devices holographically on people to basically navigate and control parallel timelines within them. They can't necessarily always tap in and control this main timeline, but they like to abduct in the parallel timelines because you're not as conscious of those realities, existences, or timelines. Okay, so they're definitely doing what they can to weaken your light body field through implants, through destruction, self-destruction codes, through emitting through brainwave fields, through controlling what you see through the media. Okay, and what you see through the media, thinking, oh, this is going down, or this is happening, or I'm not having as much outreach, or whatever it is. This has directly to do with the agenda of the forced recession. Okay, that's a big thing. Okay, that's breaking down here that we have to recognize and see. So again, I just want to bring awareness around this, that I don't feel like it's really a joke. I don't think it's a joke that these ETs are coming forward and everyone's getting a kick off of it. It's like, no, we have to look at our galactic history and what the Willy Wonka are actually doing with this, okay? It's another form of mind control programming. That's my take on it, you guys. If you wanted my 101 on it, that's really how I feel about it. And I think it's just because I've been activated with a lot of goddess warrior codes, right? Like all of this North Africa trekking that I did, and activating the matriarchal codes, I can see just beyond this manipulation as it is. Like it's very clear that it's coming through the attacks on humanity, through the invasions, through the intruder energy, through imposter spirits. This is this is total imposter. It's total imposter. It's nothing race lineage, who it is has been identified. Remote viewers cannot identify the race lineage. I'm sorry. As much as they want to, there's too much splicing in the genetic gene code that's happened through modification and manipulation. And again, what these alien beings want here on this planet. But I do think it comes through and is predatorialized through reptilian interconic force, through demonic spirits and soul possession. Okay, these are opening portals to soul possession when we have these things happen collectively as well. And so, yeah, I think this is a harvesting tactic as well. It's really important for us to stay strong. Not that anybody's feeling weak from this news in any way necessarily, but know that it plays on those chords to some degree. It actually does. Just wanted to touch on that, you guys, and give my breakdown of this. But if you agree, drop it down in the comments. So I also wanted to tell you guys about my course that I have coming up. So I'm just going to screen share with you guys really quick. So I did send an email campaign out. Be sure to subscribe to my website at IndigoAngel222.com so you can get all of my notifications and writings that I put out. I'm excited to announce, you guys, that I am teaching the Goddess Spirit Warrioress Bootcamp. This is going to be February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of 2024. I am teaching this with Marguerite Rigaglioso. You guys know who she is. She's such an amazing teacher. She has so much knowledge and wisdom, parthenogenesis creation. But essentially, we've come to put our information together and put together an amazing course, a 5D and above psychic self-defense and protection course for the goddess, divine feminine empowerment and confidence course, where we're going to recover the Amazon priestess history and open your Akashic memories to this. And so we're going to cover the living history behind the Warrioress mystery. This is going to be 3 classes in one day. It's going to be really detailed, you guys, bringing forth all of the warrior codes, as really about this time is about overcoming psychic spiritual warfare. And then we're going to start boot camp, which is going to cultivate your inner strength to become the goddess warrior and be able to navigate the spiritual battles here on this earth by empowering and discovering your goddess and the strong woman within, mastering spiritual resilience, and just learning things like soul preparedness, adaptability, agility, spiritual warfare mastery, overcoming shadow realms, purgatory entities, attachments, hauntings, abductions, attacks on the inner divine feminine empowerment, which is clearly something that we see is going on the planet with, you know, agendas that they have. So we're going to be teaching you how to build your warrioress to overcome these things and to see through the BS. We're also going to be teaching it from a Sophia Christ perspective as well, which Marguerite Rigaglioso kind of specializes to awaken us to the archonic forces on this planet, to awaken us to the negative ETs. And she's going to be offering this through a really intense teaching that will help you to understand kind of the adversary of all these things and what's been suppressed. And then we're going to go off into more details of psychic self-defense and protection techniques and modalities. So it's going to be about unveiling advanced psychic self-defense techniques and just more discussions on embodying the warrior goddess and providing real methods that actually work to protect and shield yourself from negative influence, negative ET attack, and basically, you know, everything that comes along with this. And so there's going to be free Goddess Warrioress bonus material that you can access. It's going to be so amazing, you guys. I can't wait to share everything that I've brought forth code-wise from North Africa. I think everything is applying and rolling into the next, and it's all relative at this time for a reason. So I really hope to see you guys at the course. I love to have the shared container events, those are just truly magical. I was just telling a divine sister today just how powerful shared container experiences actually are, how much you gain from them, how uplifting they are, how much life transformational they are, how you never forget them. They stay with you. And so we're hoping to recreate that experience and bring it forward again, because a year before we did the womb healing. So this year we're gonna bring it up into empowerment now, divine feminine rising and empowerment, which is what's rolling through the fields right now. And again, what's lacking and why this elite cabal system of muddying up the disclosure community can happen in the first place. So we hope to fuel the goddess within that divine empowerment and to break down the negativity that's shrouded in our galactic history and start to bring forth clarity. Okay, there's no need for these negative ETs to hide and create portals and do things behind humanity's back, right? We want actual full disclosure because otherwise we know why they're here and we know what they're doing. Okay, so we say no to forced breeding and we say no to hybridization trauma on this earth. We're done with it. Okay, we're here to protect the children. Okay, guys, I love you all so much. And you can find my course at learn.indigoangel222.com. Another thing I want to mention that rolls well with this is to book the Lemurian Regression and Divine Feminine Healing and Implant Removal session as well. This kind of pairs nicely with the coursework as I think sometimes we have to go to deeper levels of our healing to essentially bring in the expansion piece of it all, right? So heal more to expand more, heal more to expand more. And that's ultimately what I think we're trying to reassure happens to all of the divine feminine as we step into these spiritual leadership roles on the earth, you guys. So I love my divine masculine as well. I think we're here to we're here to hold our divine masculine as divine feminine warrior goddesses. We hold the space for our masculine to also heal and to also grow with us. And that's ultimately what we're doing. So this is no exclusion. This is no, we're better than or isolation of our divine feminine empowerment with this coursework. We do actually invite masculines who want to sign up and be a part of this journey with us to understand deeper of where the feminine is growing into, but we are stepping into our spiritual leadership roles. And we are stepping into our authenticity and ability to call the kettle black in these propaganda movements that happen. So yeah, guys, I hope you resonate with this message today. I love you all so much. Namaste. Take care.